I have been wanting to do this video for a very long time. I love researching and keeping up to date with all the newest Bigfoot sightings. And every now and then, I will come across some pretty shocking stories about people being abducted by Bigfoot, and some of these claims are extremely interesting. One of the most famous cases comes from a Canadian prospector in 1924. It all started when a man named Albert Ostman went deep into the Canadian wilderness looking for a lost gold mine. One night when Albert was sleeping, he was awakened by something picking him up. At first, he thought it was a snowslide, but then he felt like he was on the back of a horse. Albert was terrified as he now knew that he was being kidnapped. Albert was also trapped in his sleeping bag, so he couldn't see anything, but he was hearing some very strange, chatter-like noises. After a couple of hours, the abductor finally dropped Albert, and he was finally able to poke his head out of his sleeping bag. Then Albert came face to face with a family of very tall, hairy humanoids. Now Albert claims that he was living with these creatures for 6 days. Now he was terrified, but once he realized that these creatures were not trying to hurt him, his fear subsided, but he was still too afraid to try to escape. But on the 6th day, Albert decided that he had enough, and he fired his rifle in the sky and made a run for it, and he was able to get away. Now Albert didn't come forward until 1957, and when he did, his story got very famous, and he was under a microscope for years, and journalists went to extremes to try to catch him in a lie, but they never did. Now a lot of people believe, still to this very day, that Albert is telling the truth. Another very famous Bigfoot abduction happened in 1871 in British Columbia. A young 17-year-old female named Sarafine Lung was taken to a cave by a Sasquatch within Morris Mountain, and she lived with a group of Bigfoots for about a year. But it was mainly the large male of the group, her kidnapper, that wouldn't let her leave. But Sarafine was constantly begging her kidnapper to let her go, and about a year later, her abductor picked her up and dropped her off around the same area where she was taken. When she was finally found by her people, she was close to death, and that night, she gave birth to a very badly deformed baby. Now Sarafine did not tell anyone that she was kidnapped by a group of Bigfoots. Well, at least not until 1929. Then, in 1928, in British Columbia, a Native American tribe claimed that he got abducted by a Bigfoot. Now, just like Albert, he was abducted while sleeping. He claims that he was carried for about 3 miles by a very large creature. And when he was finally released and dropped to the ground, he found himself surrounded by at least 20 of these huge creatures. The trapper thought that these huge hairy humanoids were going to eat him, as he saw tons of bones on the ground. Now, these creatures were poking this man, and they were very confused by his clothes. After a while, this group of Bigfoots started to get unamused, and they left him alone. Now the trapper knew that this was his chance, and he ran away. Now this abduction happened only 5 years after Albert's, and in a very similar fashion. And remember, Albert didn't tell anybody about his abduction until 1957, making this another very interesting Bigfoot abduction case. What's pretty shocking about these stories is they all come from Canada, from around the same time period. But of course, Canada is not the only location where these abductions take place. In 1957, in a remote village in China, a man heard his daughter screaming. The daughter was tending to the cattle when out of nowhere a huge 8-foot-plus hairy humanoid picked her up and tried to kidnap her. Now the father ran as fast as he could as he knew his daughter was in trouble. Now the father couldn't believe what he was looking at. But he didn't have time to be afraid because he was watching his daughter being carried away by this huge beast. So he grabbed a stick and started to hit it. And it worked because the Sasquatch dropped his daughter and started to run away. But as it was fleeing, it got stuck in some very thick mud, and every man, woman, and child within the village started to beat this creature. And they ended up beating it to death. Now if this story is true, it makes me very sad. But the Bigfoot was trying to kidnap a young woman. In the late 19th century, a man was hunting in the Russian wilderness when he stumbled upon a very refreshing, crystal clear river. The man was very hot, so he decided to get naked and go for a little swim. While he was swimming, he felt something touch his shoulder, and when he turned around, he saw a very strange creature. This creature looked like something in between a woman and a monkey. Now this man was terrified, and he started to swim like crazy back to the riverbank. And this creature was swimming right next to him, and she just couldn't stop touching him. Now once this man got out of the water, he tried to lose it in the woods, but she was right behind him, and she was making some very strange noises. Then this man saw a boy, and this boy had a whip in his hand. And when this creature got close enough, the boy started to hit it with a whip, and it ran away, crying and yelling in pain. Now the man was very thankful, and the young boy told him that he had encountered this creature several times before, and he never left the house without his whip. Now when this man got back into town, they told him that he had come face to face with a crazy woman that lived in the woods. The townspeople believed that she was a human, but because of her appearance and the way she acted, they just thought that she was crazy. But we all know today that no matter how crazy a person is, they're not going to start growing very thick hair all over their bodies. And because of the fact that the man knew right away that this was not a human, makes this a very famous Russian Bigfoot encounter. Now there are also tons of alleged Bigfoot abduction cases still going on to this very day. And the book Missing 411 has a lot of very interesting stories where people have just vanished right into thin air. And most of these people were camping or visiting the forest where tons of Bigfoot sightings happen. And some truly believe that Bigfoot is responsible. And others believe that it could be the work of very large unknown birds, and I've covered some of these stories in one of my previous videos. But whatever the truth may be, something very sinister is kidnapping these people. Now there was a case that happened not that long ago, and this case was probably foul play, but it is very interesting. Now I don't want to say the actual names out of respect to the family, but a 17-year-old female and a 43-year-old male were good friends, and they were obsessed with the Bigfoot phenomena. So one day they decided to go to the mountains and look for it, and the young woman was never seen again. Now the man told the police that they actually found Bigfoot and had kidnapped this young girl. And of course no one believed him, but he was never charged as they couldn't find any evidence. I mean, this girl just vanished. Now like I said before, this is probably foul play, but why the heck would a 43-year-old man make up a story like that? Making a lot of Bigfoot believers wonder if this man is telling the truth. Now before I go, I would like to talk about Gigantopithecus. Gigantopithecus is a real species, and it is believed to have gone extinct about 100,000 years ago. This massive ape would grow to about 10 feet tall, and so far we know that it did live in China, India, and Vietnam. Now it is believed that us Homo sapiens never encountered this ape, as we didn't migrate out of Africa until about 60,000 years ago. But new finds suggest that we might have migrated out of Africa about 130,000 years ago, making it very possible that our ancient ancestors did come face to face with this huge ape. Now during that time, when Gigantopithecus was believed to have gone extinct, there was a great climate change. Their food was disappearing, and they were just too big to survive the new world. And also with this new information, we too might have also played a role in their extinction. Now with all these Bigfoot sightings and encounters that happen each and every year, it does make me wonder, did this legendary creature survive? Is it still alive? Did it evolve? Did it cross the Bering Strait land bridge straight into North America? Even the United States government acknowledged this creature's existence in the 1975 publication of the Washington Environmental Atlas. This atlas also stated that the FBI had hair samples of Bigfoot. Of course, the United States government denied this not too long after the publication, but this only made more and more people believe in this legendary creature. Until next time, this is Paranormal Junkie. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.